Hi folks, welcome to this video which will show you how to use your calculator to find the cash proceeds from the bond issue. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a question and this question is very short. It just says that on August the 1st, 2017, Billboard Inc. issued 520,000 of 10% 7-year bonds. Interest is paid semi-annually, and what we want you to do is to find the cash proceeds that Billboard got from its investors when they issued the bond at these three different market prices, or market yields I should say, 12%, 14%, and 8%. So you can see that the coupon rate, which is used to calculate the amount of interest that the issuer Billboard will pay its investors, is different than the market values or market rates. So what we need to do is figure out how this might affect your cash proceeds from the bond issue. So first of all, if we use the 12% market rate, we know we have a discount bond. Why do we have a discount bond? Because the coupon rate of 10% is less than the market rate. Whenever the coupon is less than market, we have a discount bond. And what does that mean? That means that we're going to get cash proceeds that are less than the face value. Why? Because the issuer couldn't afford to pay more than 10% to you, the investor, but everybody else on similar investments is paying 12%. So you can't expect to get as much money for your bond if you're Billboard than somebody else who's paying more interest on their investment than you are. So in this case, what we need to do is, because the payments are being made to the investor semi-annually by Billboard, we have to make sure that our payments per year, P/Y key, P/Y is equal to 2. And that should be the same for your compounding per year, or your C/Y. So now to find out the cash proceeds, don't forget we're doing it from Billboard's perspective. Billboard is the issuer, so we're looking at everything in terms of cash paid out. So we're going to have to pay out at maturity $520,000 if we're Billboard. That's at the end of our 7-year period, right? So we've got $520,000. We put the plus minus because that indicates it's an outflow, and that's your future value, the future amount you're going to pay out. We also have to pay out or make a payment every 6 months of $26,000. How do we get that? We take our face value times our coupon times 6/12, which is a half a year. Don't forget to find your PMT, your payment, you use your coupon rate. We know we pay out interest 14 times over a 7-year period, twice a year, semi-annually. So N is 14. And don't forget, we have to use your yield, which is, or your market rate, which is 12. So we put in 12 I/Y. So now, if we did a compute PV, we'd get 471,666. So now on August the 1st, to make the journal entry on Billboard's books, they record the fact that they got cash of 471,666, and they've also now got debt. They've got a bond payable of 520,000. But the difference is 48,334 on the debit side. That is called a discount. We're going to do some more work on discounts as we get further into this chapter to show you how they impact interest expense. But the bottom line is this. The discount, as we said once before, is a debit balance account. That's a debit balance, is its normal balance. And we also said that it's a contra liability, meaning its normal balance is opposite to the bond payable. So the bond payable has a normal balance of credit. The discount has a balance of debit when you set it up. All right. Now, if we were Billboard, and after we make our journal entry, if we had to do a partial balance sheet in our long-term liability section, we would show the bond payable, we would show the coupon rate, and when it's due. That means when the term is up. Don't forget, we said it was a 7-year bond, and it was issued August the 1st, 2017. So that means it's due August 1st, 2024. That's 7 years. So we put the due date and the face value, and then we'll deduct the discount, which we've already calculated as the difference between the face value and the cash proceeds at issue date. So the bond payable at carrying value at the date of issue, August 1st, 2017, is going to be equal to our cash proceeds, which is $471,666. Now, how does this change instead if we use a market rate of 14%? So now I'm going up here and I'm doing part B. What if our market rate is 14%? Notice I haven't changed the face value or the coupon or the term of 7 years or the fact that it's paid semi-annually. These things are all set out by the bond contract, so I can't vary those. The only thing that could change over the term of the bond is the market rate. But in this case, our market rate is 14. So now, how would we calculate the cash proceeds on the bond? First of all, we still have a discount bond. Why? Because the coupon of 10% is less than the market rate. So with P/Y set to 2, and again, that's because we have semi-annual interest payments, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put in the future value of our lump sum payment, which is $520,000, and again, we put a plus minus to make it negative because it's a cash outflow. Billboard is paying out that much to its investors at the end of 7 years. We calculate our PMT, which again uses the coupon rate times the face value, and because the payments are semi-annual, times 6/12. Number of interest payments is still 14, and the market rate is 14. So now we can see that we get a present value of $429,047, and that's what we would expect with a discount bond. Because remember, with a discount bond, we can't expect as Billboard to get cash proceeds that are equal to or greater than the face value because our bond isn't paying as much. Our bond's only paying 10%, right? The market's paying 14, so we're going to get less than the face value from our investors. So we get a number that we think is probably right. So when we make our journal entry at the issue date, we're going to get a cash debit of $429,047. Again, that's at the issue date. That's how much cash your investors are giving you. We're going to credit the bond payable for its face value. That's the amount of money that Billboard has to give back to investors at the end of 7 years. And then we're going to debit the balance to our discount account, which is the difference between, as we said before, the face value and the cash proceeds received at the issue date, right? That's what it's equal to. So now we have that. So if we were to do a balance sheet at the date we make the entry, we show in the long-term or non-current liability section your bond payable account with the coupon rate next to it and when it matures or comes due. And at that time, it's $520,000 because don't forget at August the 1st, 2017, we set it up at $520, right? We're going to deduct our discount that we set up at the issue date. So we now get the bond at its carrying value or net value of $429,047. Our last scenario is if the market rate is 8%. Now we have a premium bond. Why? Because your bond is paying a coupon rate of 10%, which is more than what everybody else is paying. So now your bond's paying more than everybody else's. When your bond pays more, everybody's going to want your bond. So that means they're prepared to pay more for it. How much more is what we're going to calculate when we calculate the PV. And how do we do that? Similar way to what we did before. We're going to calculate the cash proceeds of the face value, which is $520,000, and again plus minus because it's an outflow to Billboard, it's an amount they're going to pay back. $26,000 is our payment every interest period, which is your face times your coupon times 6/12, because don't forget 6/12 is a half a year and you're making your PMTs or your payments every 6 months. We've got 14 payments that we're making. Now your yield is 8. So if you do a compute PV, you're going to have $574,928, which kind of makes sense because you said you should have a premium, and the premium means you're going to get proceeds bigger or greater than the face value. So now if we were to make the journal entry at the issue date, we would get a debit to cash of $574,928 and a credit to the bond payable of $520. But now we're a little light on the credit side, so we need to shore that side up. So what do? Now we set up our premium. The premium is known as an adjunct account. An adjunct account means its normal balance is credit, so it has the same balance as the bond payable account. So when we set it up as a credit. So now, what do we have? At August the 1st on the balance sheet, we would have our bond payable in the long-term liability section of the balance sheet, 10% due August 1st, 2024 at its face value. But now we add the premium, which we know to be the difference between the carrying value of the bond at the issue date less the face value. It's always the difference between cash given to the issuer and bond liability booked by the issuer. All right. And so if we add that premium, we're going to get our bond at its carrying value, which should be what we got for it at the date we issued it, because we're doing the entry at the date we issued it and the balance sheet at the date we issued it. And that's going to be $574,928. So I hope you found the video helpful in helping you calculate cash proceeds to issuers when they issue a bond liability, and also to show you what it looks like on the balance sheet at issue date. Have a nice day.